Ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra. Thanks for the wonderful introduction to everybody and having us here with the opportunity to talk to some few gentlemen in the industry with such vast years of experience. So the topic today that we are discussing in this forum is issues and challenges in revival of the core sector post COVID-19. And the post COVID-19, we have been thrown into an era of what we used to talk about. The future of workforce has actually become the now of the workforce, and it is today that is happening. All the changes that we must have thought that it will come up, are supposed to come up, are actually coming up, and we are at the midst of it. So we will go on to the panelists, asking them what is their thought process of dealing with this entire situation, this new unknown situation, the new normal that we have been calling it, and how the organizations are coping up with it. And as we go, the format of the discussion is each speaker gets 3 minutes for the overview. And we start off with Colin, and then we go to Rashid, then Mr. Narayan, Mr. Pramod, and then Trideep sir. And then we will have one-to-one questions asked to each speaker. And then we will open the forum for question answers to the students. And I encourage all the students to ask as many questions as you can, as you're willing. Do not feel shy about asking anything to anybody. We might not be able to answer everything, but we might be able to touch upon with our experiences. And as you heard, the experiences of decades of the speakers that we have in the panel. And we want you to take the maximum of opportunity of this opportunity given to you. And finally, we will have the closing remark by each speaker, that is again for a minute. So let us begin. We will start off with Mr. Colin Mandis and his comments on the particular situation that we are into post-COVID, especially with focus to the core sector.
Yeah, thanks, Deepshika. In fact, the core sector, and I represent the core sector, manufacturing, I think that's going through tremendous change. And, today, the amount of change that's really taking place is unprecedented. Yeah. But I must say that the manufacturing sector got the opportunity to actually make that change very quickly. Yeah. And I think the government very quickly allowed the manufacturing sector and factories to come back and rebuild. So in that context, what happened is most of our factories, and even ours, what we did is we restarted our facility on the 4th of May, and within about 15 days, we very quickly to there. So we took a lot of attempt to get there and ensure that we were able to bring back people to our work. Today, to my mind, I think the core sector and the manufacturing sector, I put it, presents as a sector where there's tremendous amount of demand and there's tremendous amount of demand that's there in the market. Yeah. And I must tell you, I'm happy to actually tell you that, in the last few months, we've actually doubled our capacity. Yeah. So let me give you a little background about what's really transpired. Yeah. We inaugurated a very new factory, and we're a joint venture with the Home Appliance Space. So we inaugurated our refrigerator and washing machine factory in Sanand on 30th of January. Yeah. And just about a month after that, there were issues of lockdown and so on and so forth. And very quickly, I think when we shut down the facilities, the government allowed us to reboot, and we were able to get back to normal. But today, I'll be happy to tell you that we have got back not only the manpower that we had pre-COVID, but we've also doubled it.
Wow.
Companies in that area which have actually managed. So what has been, as you rightly said, what has been some of the key issues and challenges really in this? I think the biggest issue, that has been there, and the challenge that's been there particularly for companies like ours, and we have other reputed companies, even from the Tata stable, we have Tata Motors. I think the biggest challenge is, looking at, how do you actually are able to plan, or how do you actually get your workforce back, particularly in a situation where the news channels and several media has probably frightened their thought process. Yeah? And so therefore, during this entire period, we focused on positive reinforcement. Yeah. So positive reinforcement in the form of communication from the leadership team, in terms of what is the plan for the company, what's our way forward way going forward. Also focused on developing skills, and I think that's very important. Particularly, you must understand that the manufacturing company like ours, developing skills sometimes becomes a bit of a challenge when people are very focused on working with machines. Yeah. So what we did is, looked at an opportunity where we encouraged people to pick up a topic that they did not know anything about. So rather than going more in something that they want to do, we focused on asking someone, pick up a topic that you don't know and learn something new. So whether it's Industry 4.0 or whatever it is, And I'll be happy to tell you that, this was one period, and I'm sure most of the other co-panelists will agree with me, including you, that this was one period we actually saw the maximum traction for digital learning.
Absolutely.
Maximum people really subscribe to that, and so we also launched VILT, so virtual instructor-led trainings. We gave people, bullet points for every training that they did. So a model of all this, and we also did a little bit of a soft skill element. Yeah. And I must tell you, because I know I've got speakers who have got more interesting stuff to tell you, but I must conclude with telling you one interesting thing that we did, during this period, which actually helped us boost the morale of the people. We launched a reward and recognition program during this period. We labeled it as impact, making every day better, and we focused on things like efforts, behavior, excellence, achievements, and so on and so forth. And I think this, in my mind, has made a profound difference, in the thought process of most people. And today, I'm happy to say that we have an engaged workforce. We're producing more than 2,000 refrigerators a day. And I think we are poised to reduce scoops and to bring better response into the market. So pick a new brand, I think there's constant that will be. Yeah, so that's a quick debrief of what we did and what we did a little differently. I try to focus on the different aspects because I'm sure my co-panelists have got lots to tell you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mandis. I think this thing that you touched upon, the reward and recognition program, this in many organizations, actually, they have started doing it during the pandemic period, and it has made the difference of the world, because when people are motivated at a new level, they are doing things quite differently. Innovation has come up in their thought processes, and because they are being recognized, it's a wonderful initiative that you have taken, sir. We'll move on to the next panelist, and we will go to Mr. Rashid. Mr. Rashid, please tell us about what your organizations are doing and what new initiatives have you taken up during the COVID period.
Sure. Good morning, all. And once again, it gives me great pleasure to be part of this mega event organized by Gandhi Institution. Thanks to Dr. Rao, Sanjay, and Mishra ji, and all my co-panelists. Let me share my experience of last say 6 months. 22nd March, when the central government announced what is called Janta Curfew, and we announced to work hard on a particular day only in our company. Coming to the next 23rd March onwards, it's a big challenge for us because I represent a core sector, which is real estate industry, and we are developers basically, and we subcontract every work to the major subcontract, because each project is costing us maybe the total each cost of the project is not less than 5,000 crores. So 80% of our job we outsource to the subcontractor. The subcontractor brings migrant laborers across India. At alone Hyderabad, we are almost developing 6-7 projects which are in pipeline. The biggest challenge from 23rd March onwards, what we face is to retain migrant laborers in our labor camps. The total migrant laborers are working for us, means with our subcontracts, all put together maybe 10,000 plus. So for us to manage it and retain this workforce of 10,000 plus laborers, migrant laborers, is the biggest challenge during pandemic we experienced. And what we did, the excellent job of retaining. See, if you really experience see the situation at labor camps, each room consisting 10 into 10, they stay 10 to 12 people in one room. Such kind of a situation in each labor camp. 2,000 people in one labor camp, and each room consisting 10 to 10 people. And the fear factor about this pandemic, what happens if one disease, one guy gets the corona, what happens to the 2,000 people in the camp? It was a fear factor in our minds. So what we did immediately, 23rd March, we are on like a task with HR and admin department, visited all the labor camps, and we arranged a lot of sanitization, medical camps, whatnot. And to retain this 10,000 employees, means the laborers across all these labor camps, was the biggest challenge to the management. And we supported them, we have taken care of them. And fortunately, I can proudly say that not even a single laborer got COVID positive in our company. Such kind of a care we have taken to retain the migrant laborers. That was wonderful experience for us. As far as COVID, to our own employees, maybe 100 employees got positive. No one got any serious illness except one guy who was hospitalized, who is also, all 110 employees reported back to office. And last 6 months, because we retained the workforce within our labor camps, and nothing has happened to the work except a few here and there finishing works hampered, but otherwise we are on means like 100% productivity. And in fact, because our company is non-IT company and telecommuting is not possible in our organization, what we did, we have announced special packages like whoever want to come, they can come, or else you can work on alternative basis. So such kind of provisions we provided, thereby we boost the morale of the employees so that they give their best, even in the pandemic situation also. All our employees, across 1,500 employees, civil engineers who are working with us, have contributed very much. And I think this kind of what is called employee sensitive understanding the problems of workforce maybe gives us to boost the morale, thereby we can enhance the productivity. What we learned is to be with employees in their crisis, so support them whatever way, best possible way, so that their productivity also enhances, as well as their morale also enhances. That is what we experienced. I think with these few views, maybe I'll share more on the basis of questions raised by today's moderator. I think over to Dipiksha. Unmute please. Dipiksha, unmute please.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Rashid. I think this migrant labor problem and the people who are at the marginal end and they have been traveling back to their homes, walking back from various states to their homelands are one of the crucial things that we have seen during the pandemic. And the entire country was going bonkers about how will these people return, when will these people return, whether they'll be able to survive in this condition, whether companies have stopped paying them. It was a devastating condition with the migrant laborers that we have seen. And it is wonderful to see that your company has done so well, supported them, supported their families. It is a very good initiative. Next, we will move on to Narayana Rao. Mr. Rao, please let us know what all changes you are doing in your organization and how are you dealing with the pandemic.
Thank you, Deepshika, and thank you all the participants, and thank you the university for giving me this opportunity. So as the previous speakers explained the challenges, it is no way different. This pandemic has brought entire industry, entire globe onto its knees. So as we thought we can do everything, but then as a human being, we do little when this such kind of a pandemic spreads across. And it had a deeper impact on the economy across the globe. Every organization has faced. Initially, it was a very difficult for us to accept what was happening. Everybody was in a shock, and it took some time for us to realize what is happening. And then slowly we traded off with, okay, things are going to be like this. Now we have to just gain our confidence and then start working within the given circumstances and the environment. So as Mr. Rashid said, the manpower, the human capital challenges, the projects were facing, people were leaving from the projects and going, and nothing could be done at that point of a time. Government tried, center, state, organizations, everybody tried their level best, but still the problems have been faced. After some time, slowly, yes, the projects with the existing manpower in the circumstances, they have been given proper precautionary measures and the kind of care what is required to be taken at projects. Then that given little confidence to the people at the projects. Then they started slowly working by following the norms of social distancing and then various precautions. But however, the impact on the revenues of the organizations is severe, and this resulted in FY20 closing. I think it has impacted on the bottom line of the companies. So when the entire manpower moved out to their villages, the construction labor, it was difficult for us. Again, we have to campaign all of them to come back to the projects. We are creating a conducive environment for their work, and there won't be any hazard to the health. So this kind of things, each individual in their own social networking things was spreading the message that, okay, project has revived, then you should come back to the sites. Once that has started, I think slowly things have gone positive. The government, since there is no economy moving forward, the revenues to the government also affected. The projects were not initially for a few months, nothing was moving. Then slowly later on, the bidding process has took place. Now the government is in a dire need of getting some GST and the revenues. So slowly the state and center are started releasing the projects to various companies. Now the core topic what we are discussing, issues and challenging in revival of this core sector in post-COVID-19, the greatest challenge would be the attracting the talent and retaining the talent. Now the projects are coming. Now where is the manpower to handle these kind of things? All of a sudden now we have to recruit around 500 to 600 people, engineers across the projects. Maybe around, we are operating in 10 different business verticals. We were having around 10,000 people working differently, 6,000 people on the regular roles, another 4,000 to 5,000 people on the project roles. Now, getting the manpower is the big challenge, but it is not that the fresh talent we are going to accept immediately. It is going to be the experienced talent who can bring the results within no time. The government also wants to execute the projects in a shorter period. Earlier projects used to have a long gestation period of 4 to 5 years. Nowadays, the projects are just 18 months, 24 months. You have to execute and finish and then get on to the other things. So there is a challenge, human capital challenges. We have to deal with this. And another learning this pandemic has given to all the organizations, especially the infrastructure industries, how to operate virtually. Nobody was thinking physically everybody was going and operating in the organization to get the things done. But everybody learned the lessons that, yes, we can still operate within the given circumstances. So still the optimal utilization of the resources and at least 75 to 80% of productivity is being maintained. So this is a great learning. Virtually every meeting is happening. Nowadays, we are trying to execute. All the recruitment is happening through virtually. So we never thought we would offer just without seeing the candidate sending an offer. But now I think things are moving and it is found to be okay in the given circumstances. It is found to be effective and we have to move on. So that is the way the pandemic has taught us a lot of lessons we learned, and the industry is just going to consistently do. And this situation is going to prevail for some more time. So we should see that what more learnings we will get, and we should rise up to the challenges and execute them. Thank you, Deepshika. These are my opening remarks. Let's go on.
Absolutely, Mr. Rao. Something that you said very interesting is we never thought that we will not see a candidate and actually recruit them. They will even start working from home. That is something a lot of people did not think of. On the other hand, it has been a staple in many industries whereupon you have offices across the globe, and then you will not be able to see all the candidates face to face. So online recruiting has been there, but it is more so in the companies which have not been able to do that. I think we are using Teams, which I think 2 months or 3 months back, I have never heard of what is Microsoft Teams. A lot of things have been coming on and we are catching up, and we are really thankful that the technology is there present for us to use. So we will move on to the next speaker, and Mr. Pramod Kumar Mishra for your opening comments, please.
Thank you, Deepshika, and good morning to everyone. although we are all, my fellow colleagues are from the HR fraternity, and our, somehow points will be, some of the things will be common. And who, start the first, he takes away the whole, so, but I must appreciate, Mr. Mendes and Mr. Narayan Rao and Mr. Rashid. All the three has spoken very nicely and covered most of the point which normally the infrastructure sector, are doing it. I'll, focus on 2-3 areas where the GR Infra project in my organization, which is a road and highways, focusing on that, because we take this EPC and HAM project in road and highways. Currently, we have more than 40 projects are there, and we are pan India. And a couple of we have 2-3 railways projects are also there. The 2 verticals are there which we are doing it. And I'm sharing to you in this pandemic time, what we have done as a HR person. 2-3 things were there. See, challenges were always there. Yes, we have heard it and we knew it, and it will be there forever, because it's not going to over. Actually, whatever it may be, even the vaccine comes, it's not going to. It's a pandemic. It's not a disease. So 2-3 things what I'm going to focus. First thing is that already it has been said is a learning and development. So since I am a person, in this organization looking after the TAN drill, like GRIL, like the learning and development. Earlier, as we know that we used to do the classroom training more, but this time the digitization has come. So because of this, e-learning was, we did it. And that was really a great challenge. But at the same time, it has taught us, many things to not, the HR, but even our promoters and owners. So they are now encouraging a lot of, the training programs to be done, this time. Earlier, which was not there. We all know, training is one area which everyone thinks is a cost. But even the owners in the construction sector, I'm sorry to say, even I was in Simplex for 14 years as a HR head there. There also, the people used to think that the training, what training? Project managers go, if you say that training, what training? They will send it in a very stupid person there who doesn't do any work. Okay, go and go for training and eat. You will get some food and all these things and come back. So, but end of the day, our chairman, managing director, he was very serious on the previous company, and we actually the first thing changed his attitude. It's everything attitude. In training, the first thing that changed attitude, and that's what changed the whole Simplex. The attitude of a person, the employees, including the seniors. In GRIL, the same thing. This pandemic, our owners, this attitude got changed, and you won't believe it. We did the training, supervisors, foreman, operators, drivers, all through the basically online. And that was I think the biggest, I think the success we got it through this. And I don't know whether should I say thanks to pandemic or not, but really it has taught really a good thing to us, and we created now this training session for these people, actually the lower blue collar people, because it is not possible. Yeah, we all know for blue collar you have to be on job. It is, you cannot give training in classroom or like this online. But that was really successful. Second thing is that in this online, this training, we gave it to the trainees. Recently, 107 trainees from the different colleges, and like from NICMAR and other engineering colleges, polytechnics, they have joined. And you won't believe it, that 3 days, continuously 3 days, 8.5 hours to 9 hours, keeping the students intact for the induction. And also, the faculty members, basically our speakers, to tell to give online. But that was really a great success. This is what the plus point, we got in this training. And the third thing in the learning and development, we really, actually did it, and it has changed the site. That was a training session on the soft skill. That especially on the stress management. And you all know, this time the project side, we were having a lot of problems in every front. I will not speak here right now. All these things otherwise will take too much of time. But the stress management, the motivation skill, the leadership skill, these are the 3-4 programs. Now we started, and you won't believe it, we have given this around 2,300, the trained employees in this area only in the last 4 months. That was really a great thing, which we never did it, earlier, actually, in the, classroom training. So this is one area, the L&D sector, the area which really we improved despite of this challenge. Second thing, that we also here took it the precautionary measure. Every site we, made a format that like 3 things, putting the mask, sanitization, and the thermal scanning. So we got an appreciation from the NHI officials. They visited on the spot surprise check at our site, project sites, and they gave us appreciation letter also that our sites are being implementing all this, and nothing, some awkward type of incident happened. Yes, 1 or 2 cases did happen because of negligence of the employees, but moreover, think that a lot of laborers were there, labor colonies were there. These people, operator drivers were there. Nothing happened, and this is a credit actually. The goes to our team member of the HR as well as the site people. Third thing, already as we said by Mr. Narayan Rao regarding the recruitment, really it has started. This is the one great thing. I must say that from the last 4 months, we have recruited 389 candidates online.
Wonderful, sir.
Which is 389, and rest now again. Next 2 months we have to recruit 300 more, because we have got 9 projects in lockdown. 9 projects in lockdown. So 9 projects at value of 8,000 crore. So for this you need a lot of people, and calling for interview at office and all these things is not possible. So this is what we are doing it, and we have been getting great success. So these are the 3, good things. I think I will tell you the challenges were also there, pros were also there, cons were also there. Both the 3 things were there. So this was basically the 3 areas which I thought must share from our organization point of view.
Sure. I think L&D, sir, what you mentioned is something which has picked up really well during this pandemic. A lot of people are doing very well in this particular sector. A lot of institutes are booming. Organizations are doing a lot of training programs which they have only thought of doing, and this is the best time to enhance your skills. And that is something that just picked up in a great way. So we'll move on to Mr. Pradeep Sharma. And Mr. Sharma, please let us know what are the things that are going on in your organization and what changes have you brought in. Sir, you are on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, good morning again to everybody. And then it was really nice to, be part of such a elite group with so much of experienced people around here. And everybody has, has the same problem. And those have been articulated very nicely by my all co-panelists, So I would like to basically see the silver lining. Now we all see the problems, right? Let's talk about the silver linings. One, the digital revolution, I would say. I mean, everybody has understood. Otherwise, without that, it wouldn't have been possible for us to meet today like this, Right. So it says everything. So that is one. Secondly, some realizations have come to us, we are in the construction sector, all of you will agree we are a little bit unorganized sector. It's not like, manufacturing sector or other sectors, right? So we, no matter how big a company is, end of the day, we like to work like a contractor, right? So if we talk about now, this pandemic has made us to think about the health sector, health facility at sites. Right now, earlier, we just keep a compounder with some medicine, maybe an ambulance at the most. Then we think this is the best we are doing. But now we need to think in a very different way. Like today, as of today, we have a serious situation we have a hydro project in Orun, right? In Nepal, it's Orun 3 project. So it's a very remote place. The nearest hospital is 6 hours away. There are again district administrations restriction. We have now around 100 people affected, including our subcontractor, and one fatal death of a very senior people of our subcontractor. But now we are trying to organize, isolation medicine. But over that now, yesterday, 100 villagers came and attacking our people. They said, you have brought, COVID to us. Now, these are very new situation, These are very new situation. Now we are planning to have our good doctors, MBBS doctors at all sites with 2 ambulances or with medical facility. This has made us to think now. Because all our projects, otherwise we would have never thought about it. Take a bar base denge, like for namesake. So this is one silver lining. We are really now thinking about, organizing our sector. Then what I have, my main message to be, for this, webinar today to the students, I would like to address to them basically. I said, don't worry about job. There may be now worry in you, like what will happen. Government is not having money. I'll just like Service, congratulated me in the morning for getting a project of almost 1,000 crore. This project was tendered during the lockdown period, sometime in May probably, April or May. And the whole bid was done by our tendering team from their respective homes. Right? So we got the job, now we got the LOI, now we are looking for people, recruiting people. So there is no dearth of job for you people. Only thing, the requirement have changed now. Now we'll be looking for people who can work under pressure. I think everybody here in this panel will agree. Now we'll be looking for people who can work under pressure, who can do multitasking, who can work independently. Nowadays, working from home taught us another thing, how to keep people engaged, right? So you don't know, you don't see them. Who is doing what, whether he's doing a breakfast or he is working, we don't know. But we know from the deliverables what he is delivering. So now people will be looking for who is self-initiator, who can take initiative, and biggest of them, I can see that. Earlier we used to say working in team. Now you will have to work with different teams. You will have to work, you have to work in cross-functional teams from home. So how you collaborate with others, those are the qualities all companies will be looking at the new freshers whom will be taking. My request will be to them, right, in addition to your academic courses, develop the other factors, who can work under pressure, who can take decisions, who can work in teams, who can communicate. Communication. That will be the mantra of the new age post-COVID era. So that is, I think, it's a very good scenario. It's a very good time coming up for the students because infrastructure is going to be there. Without that, nothing will happen in India. I read somewhere there are 50 lakh crores of worth of, in the planning stage. 50 lakh crore, who will work? And there's a serious dearth of talent in construction sector. I'm sure all of you will, agree to that.
Absolutely.
New people are not coming in. Old people are retiring. New boys are looking for corporate jobs. But for their future, that their road to success goes through project sites. That is the main message I'm giving to you. Go to project site, work for 3, 4, 5 years, then you come back to corporate, right? And this is good, now. Some people have risen to the occasion during this pandemic. We could now see some people who were hidden. We didn't know they existed, but now they are the people leading the site, leading the project. They said, "Don't worry, sir, we are there," right? So those are the positive. Cash flow situation. Every company has gone through the cash flow situation. People with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 workforce. To run them, to feed them without any revenue. That was I salute to all the promoters, all the management, who didn't cut their salaries, who paid their salaries, that's
Absolutely.
the biggest achievement. All the promoters, all the management to be congratulated for that, we must understand that, and it will take few years to, come back to the original thing. But it is all our now, responsibility. Because you see, I was working like 20 hours last 5-6 months, attending 15-18 meetings in this Google Meet. But always I thought, not for me, I was working for those 3,000 families, right? So our team, our HR team, IT team, our HO didn't even stop for a day. I mean, everybody was given, laptop was not available in Bombay. Everybody, so within one night, we distributed 50 desktops in different parts of Bombay, then linked with VPN. So it never stopped. So it has given us a lot of, it made us realize that we can do much better what we were doing earlier. Now, this is the opportunity to show us our talent. Okay, everybody knows pandemic is bad thing. So I always look at the positive. So let's look at the positive, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I see here there's a stark difference between what we see in the job markets. If you look at LinkedIn these days, there's every second or third person coming up and saying that, I'm open to job, I'm looking for a job. Whereas Mr. Sharma is saying there are so many jobs available and there are so many positions that are available in the industry, and there are people who are not skilled enough to actually take these opportunities up.
Absolutely.
Right. So I will come back to Mr. Mandes and ask you that there is a common notion that they say the job market, it is whatever is visible in the job boards, it's only 20% of what is actually out there. So what should we all do to tap into these kind of hidden job markets where actually there are opportunities, but it is not coming up through the job board, it is not being visible outside? And what are the few sectors or a few areas where people should focus on, especially young people, freshers who should focus on for jobs? Mr. Mandes.
Yeah, thanks, Deepshika. In fact, I must say this is so true. And then, like every hiring manager, I too have received a number of referred CVs. And I must say, without doubt, these are the ones that really get that special. And of course, this also comes with a caveat, the sender. And you won't believe that while we were speaking, I get a referral. So, it is as instant as that, But I think there is a power in this, and so how do we really tap into these referrals? Yeah, and to my mind, I would like to give 2 silver bullets to the students. Yeah, how do we tap into these referrals to make it happen? Yeah, so the first and foremost is to power your personal brand. Yeah, now how do you go about doing this? Let me share with you some of my thoughts, what I really think about it. I think there are a number of myths that surround personal branding, and I would like to bust some of these. Yeah, some of these, some say this is more something for job seekers, or it is for freelancers, it is for sales, it is for extroverts. Yeah, it is only for leaders. It is for those of you who want to show off. But truth be told, personal branding is about sharing experiences, sharing learnings, sharing stories. Yeah. Building like-minded communities, contributing to a larger purpose, building top-of-mind recall, adding perceived value, enhancing prestige, and really increasing opportunity. And that's the point that I want to tell you. So what does it really mean? It means bigger and better visibility for yourself and the ability to stand out from the rest in terms of contribution and accomplishment. Okay? So to my mind, this is one of the very big aspects of powering your personal brand. The second is about building and propelling your network. Yeah? So how do you go about this? Share freely what you know. Like, you have a particular topic that you know. Share that freely. Yeah? Engage with critical few and find ways to help. So you bring some traction by to engage. The third would be to nurture your community of influencers. You feel are the influencers and nurture that. And I think the fourth is really about using social media intelligently. Yeah, social media is there, but how intelligently you use it is going to be very important. Yeah. Besides this, the focus on building networks should be around expertise, on interest, purpose, and of course, passion. Yeah. So once you really adopted these two silver bullets of powering your personal brand and building and fulfilling your network, yeah, what else do you need to do? You need to turbocharge your CV and make it really different from the rest. Yeah. You need to identify and target companies where you feel that's a company of your interest. And then having identified that, you need to build competencies that these companies are really looking for. Yeah. And once you've done that, you need to get your foot in the door through an internship program. Yeah. So if you've done all that, you really should be gunning for that dream job. Yeah. So if I were to summarize these two silver bullets in two simple sentences, your personal brand should be so strong that you should no longer have to introduce yourself. Yeah. And remember, your network is really your net worth. Yeah. So if you're able to do both these, I think this will help you powering your personal brand and building and propelling a stronger network. Both these will ensure you get greater referrals, more opportunity, and a foot into the door into a bigger market.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mr. Mandes. Next question goes to Mr. Rashid. Mr. Rashid, a lot of people say that in this particular situation, when you're working from home, a lot of people has been saying that work-life balance has been very well, whereupon I get to be with my family, I get to see the faces of my kids and my nephew and, spend lunchtime with them and have a happy, period whereupon I'm not going to work, but I'm being able to maximize. Whereas there is another set of people who say that because I'm working from my home, my employers are expecting me to put in their 24 hours maybe at work. So 11 in the night, 12 in the night, 3 in the night, they're calling up and saying, ye zara kar do. So it is also a part which is being taken granted. And it is also a part whereupon you're very happy that something change has brought in, whereupon you have this flexibility that you can work from anywhere. So which one is true and what do you think about this entire situation, sir? You're on mute, Mr. Rashid.
Very good question, Dipiksha. Thanks for asking very relevant question to the topic. Let me share my views in this scenario. Everybody thought when we thought of working from home means it's everyday festival kind of a thing where everybody enjoyed like first a few days. That is sure. I think everybody accepts with my view, right? But later stage, it was a very tough situation to handle the work from home pressure because initially everybody thought that it's a work-life balance. We can manage a family very well and avoid a lot of stressful days of everyday commuting in a major cities, metro cities like Hyderabad, Kolkata, whatever, any major city, metro city. We are facing this tough situation, stressful traveling. We can avoid and we can enjoy our work-life balance very well. Everybody thought is that. But since in my organization, telecommuting is not just like earlier. And I share you a couple of surveys recently carried out by the major organizations. Like in India, there is a survey carried out by Times of India, and the wonderful results. The work from concept overall across India. What is the outcome of the work from home? There is a very thin line between these results. 55% of population across India, they responded to the survey to the Times of India, stating that their productivity levels are increased drastically, especially in their area of expertise from the learning point of view, because they're very focused on the given task, especially in the tech scenario, tech sphere. Every tech programmers and coders, they revealed that their expertise has increased. The 55% of population has said that their productivity levels have increased. Their overall business productivity also increased during this work from home concept. That is the survey outcome of the Times of India. Similarly, one more survey across the globe conducted by University, wherein they conducted the survey across the globe. And what is that work from concept outcome of these results? And there was a beautiful results came up out of this survey. The study says that the telecommuting workforce has delivered more than the office workforce. That was the result by the Illinois of Universities survey. And outcome, a wonderful, beautiful outcome. It says that the entire organizations treated the telecommuters as the good citizens of the organizations because they have delivered more than what everybody expected from each position holder. So what is that outcome? If you compare the Indian study and overseas study across the globe and Indian scenario, the outcome of the work from home is worth, and how to sustain this business is also we learned out of this pandemic crisis. So my view on this is based on the surveys. So telecommuting is always good where there is a business permits them to carry on the this thing. Now today I can see that there is a change in the business scenario across the Hyderabad city. A lot of offices are like planning to shut and extend the work from home concept till mid of 2021. So that also shows that there is a paradigm shift from the traditional concept of work from office to work from home. So I think we have to gear up to the situation, and our future generation who are listening, I think 200 plus students are listening to us, are really need to gear up to the situation to face these challenges. I think we can learn many things out of this work from home concept. So these are my views about your question, Deepiksha.
Sir, what do you think, which are the skills will be most critical for people who are experienced and also the people who are joining the workforce new? Critical skills that we are looking for in the industry right now.
So when we talk about critical skills as far as the core industry relating to the infra and construction, see there is a change in the technology which we are adopting today. So yesterday it was in the construction industry, yesterday it was a brick and mortar. Now today manual work. Today, but we are working on technology spheres. And today, when I want to recruit a guy who is having a BIM experience, building information modeling, there is a software, new software. The experience of the guys in this software, I'm unable to see. I'm facing a lot of problems in recruiting these kind of guys. So, updated technology in the civil industry. When I interact with the younger generation students, I analyze that many times students are not aware about what is the technological requirement in this industry. Today, drone technology is there. We are surveying the entire projects through drone. How to operate those drones, how to convert those survey results into the system. This kind of a highly technological oriented softwares, learning the software is required by the younger generation, especially today's younger generation like Y-Gen, I can say Z-Gen today, Internet Gen I can say.
Yes.
So this generation need to understand the technological requirements of the core industry. And today, especially civil engineers should learn first and foremost is like Primavera, second one is MS projects, third one is BIM. These are the three softwares basically they need to know. Otherwise, tomorrow they will not be more civil engineer without the softwares. Very difficult. So learning these critical skills of technological related skills is very, very important for the iGen guys. So my message is very clear that this young generation who are rolling out from this campuses now today need to understand the needs of the skills which is required in the civil engineering industry.
Sure,
So these are my views. Yeah.
I think also AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning and
Yes.
are very hot these days. And my question to Mr. Rao would be that what kind of, Mr. Narayan would be, what kind of skills these colleges are also, the universities are also gearing up to bring to the students that they are doing their best in order to be well equipped to come to the industry. How do we apply this theory of creativity in doing things differently with the power of paradigm shift? I mean, online learning is something that the universities are doing anyway. But how do you ensure that the students, when they're, like we have seen in the meetings, first the videos go off and then the audio goes off and then even the sound goes off. And the person who's in the meeting is kindly completely blanked out and they're present, they're not listening. how do you ensure that the students are there, they're listening, they're inculcating the learnings, and they will be able to deliver it at the end of the day? Mr. Narayan.
Yeah, thank you, Deepshika. It is quite interesting during this point of time. I think so many educational institutions, organizations are facing this kind of a problem. So the creativity is important in the organizational context, organizational leadership. So the students, most of the participating students, they are going to be the future leaders. So once they move from the college to the corporate, the creative leadership plays a very significant role in their successful journey. So most of the organizations often face challenges that cannot be handled in a traditional and conventional manner. So creativity is the skill that remove these challenges and obstacles and increase the rate of success and would optimally carry the organization into the future, face the challenges and attain the success. So creativity doesn't belong to any single individual or select few people. It is the process of producing something out of nothing, of combining older ideas, bringing imagination, and bringing the ideas into reality. As Albert Einstein said, creativity is the intelligence having fun. So creative leaders play a significant role in the organization's success. So what is this leadership, the mindset that improves the workplace culture? If you are doing differently, innovative, and doing things differently with your paradigm shift, things will move much more faster. Creative leaders are self-aware about themselves and they're passionate in what they are doing. They're solution-oriented. They have a lot of insights, and the team working around them would always look and enthuse to know the things. They are the walking inspirations for the rest of the community in the organization and are confident about their abilities. And they think out of box and challenge the status quo within the organization. Sometimes in traditionally conventional organizations, the leaders like challenging the status quo. Very few people would encourage them to talk about the challenges in the organization and what is the status quo, how we can bring change. So, in this kind of a context, the paradigms are important because they define how we perceive the reality in the organization, in the project. In this business world, the paradigm shift is often a change in the perception of how things should be thought and how they are done and how they are made. So changing our paradigms, when we go to the project, sitting at a corporate office, I might be thinking, okay, from a lens, everything is fine. The people who feed the information, the project leaders, everything is fine. They don't want to bring the problems. But when you go down to the level of the project executive or the junior engineer, understand his perspective through a town hall meeting, then you will know you will shift your paradigm from the corporate lens to the kind of a project lens. So hence, it is most important to have creativity and seeing things differently and discharging the responsibilities. If you look at the most creative and innovative companies of 2020, the list is topped by Apple, then Google, Nike, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, such kind of an organizations which are bringing a lot of creativity into the things while doing their jobs, discharging their responsibilities. You're now coming to the online platform, how this learning can be made more interesting. Creative people are more fun-loving, come up with a lot of new ideas, with new ways of doing things. They are often willing to take more risks to discharge more responsibilities. They're not risk aversive. So in that kind of a scenario, the kind of a content what we design and develop, which should be more creative so that it would be more interesting, and delivery should ensure to tap the learner's creativity rather than a trainer's creativity. So we know as a trainer, yes, we have the content, but how this content will go deep into the minds of the individuals who are at the receiving end. So hence, this should be built with a lot of discussions. Like many of the management schools use the case studies. So through online also, we should build a lot of discussion with open-ended questions to resolve the kind of whatever is the issues or the challenges thrown, how the participants are going to respond in their own manner. So one creative idea will trigger the other creative idea from other participants. Unless they are made more participative, it would be monotonous. Giving a learners a chance to think out of box and come out with their kind of responses. Then the second thing is find ways of introducing storytelling or writing stories in whatever you are doing. The success stories from the projects, you can take it to the people. Lot of learning happens through this kind of sharing of information in the form of a story or reading a story, which can bring solutions, unique solutions to the problems which are faced with the projects. The third thing could be placing learner in the role of a trainer. Instead of simply one way of communication, trainer to the learner, let the learner in the place of a trainer. And how?
So it's a role playing.
Pardon?
It's a role playing that you're saying.
Yeah. So we should place them and give them a kind of a scenario on how they will visualize the things. Learners design visual learning material by using various infographics, things which will have a lot of visual impact, audio impact, and engaging their creative thought process. So that will also create more interest among the participants. The fourth one could be create scenarios with problems to be solved. Give them a kind of a small problem, what they can resolve. So a simple issue like students of chemical engineering or mechanical engineering, how the water pipelines corrosion can be addressed. Let them research and then come out, they can present. Once other students or the trainers or the learners are presenting, the interest will be aroused among others and then more participative, more engrossed into the kind of discussions. So giving them a creating problem solving projects, more project oriented, and choose whatever assignments what we are giving, it should be more practical oriented. That is the reason why these kind of internships and projects which are inbuilt into the kind of system. So when we do the assessments to foster the critical thinking, so assessment should be not on a multiple choice queries. Okay, you have 5 options, you tick one. Just blindly or pick anything, okay, the assessment is done based on that. Asking the participants to write a blog on one single topic, how they will creatively write the things and show their interest and innovation in doing the things. So that is the way learners needs to be encouraged and engaged in the online platforms and motivated. The only way is to provide learning activities that stretch the imagination, which fosters the thinking of out of box and insist on creative problem solving. So these are all the aspects. If we inbuild designing the curriculum and the course material or the training material, then definitely I feel it would be more effective. Creativity plays an important role in changing our paradigms and then delivering the required results quickly to the revenue drivers of the organization.
I'm sure. So there is a paradigm shift in everywhere, every industry, and everyone is doing something new in order to catch up with the situation that we have in hand. The next question goes to Mr. Trideep Sharma. Mr. Sharma, there will be a lot of jobs which are maybe going out of the fad, and a lot of roles which are becoming they are not anymore relevant to the industry, and there are a lot of jobs which are opening up. There are a lot of avenues which are changing. So what kind of new roles and new jobs are being created in the industry, and which are the ones which are becoming obsolete? What is your take on it, and what kind of strategy should job seekers take in order to face the new kind of job market, sir?
Yeah, you see, companies are more interested, you know, I mean, all companies to enhance their profit, you know, their cash flow, their returns, right? So positions like, you know, functions like contract management, right, planning, these are now going to be very vital, right? Even IT. Now every company has to really, you know, strengthen their IT team in a big way, big way, in a work from home concept, or in our company we are calling it work in the fly. Right now, here in our Patel Engineering, what's happening in our corporate office now, people will be almost 40% people, I mean, the office capacity will be 50 to 60% only. So there will be three type of people. One who will come every day. Another section will come on a rotational basis. You know, if you come today and tomorrow the other guy will come for the same chair. And third will be absolutely they'll be working from home. Right. So to give that kind of support, you will need a robust IT system, you know. I mean, because once this work from home is coming up, I mean, all digital platform, their hacking has started in a big way. You know, data stealing is coming in it. So cyber security has become a big issue now. So those are the new jobs will come, right? And contract management, I can see is a big thing. Finance people are most welcome because it is mostly revenue oriented planning, you know, planning. You don't get too many good planning people at different levels, you know. So students should, you know, in addition to have their core competency, they should have some additional thing, you know, which like Mr. Mendes also said, you know, branding, you know, they should have an edge over other candidate. He should come with some other qualities with him, something, you know, because, you know, when we visit campus, you know, it's always, you know, 10% students you recruit within 2 minutes. When they walk in within 2 minutes, you know, he's the guy, you know, right? Then say 20% students, you know, in the beginning, he's not the guy. Rest 70% people, more or less are same. I'm sure everybody will feel that way, you know. There it comes, you know, what he is bringing to the table additionally. You know, what is visible, whether he is a team player, it is very obvious, whether you find his attitude very, you know, very positive, or he has some skill, you know, he knows, as Mr. Rashid said, he knows Primavera or MS planning, MS project, or maybe Candy, anything, or he says, you know, I can work on AutoCAD, you know, fantastic, anything, you know. So those extra skills, right, those extra skills, and industry is looking for people who can think, basically, you know, rather than doing, who can think. We are looking at now potential. You know, time will come when we'll be making project manager from 10 years old seniority. Maybe that time is not far. You know, young engineers will be given a project, 500 crore, 300 crore, do it, you know. Now, what I request my students, you know, all these students, don't just worry about job, you know, don't say I need a job. No, you'll get a job. Now you plan how you move up there. You plan for that, you know. You plan for, you know, I want to do a metro project I'll be the project manager of a metro project in 10 years. Plan it now, you know. So that is those people we are looking for, you know. Who knows their career path, who knows where they are going, you know. Not a job seeker. We are looking for people, you know, who said, yes, sir, I'm ready to do. Give me projects. I'll learn. Nothing is rocket science. You know. Absolutely not. So we look for that kind of attitude, you know, and who is ready to learn, and who will be obsolete, as you said. A lot of senior people obsolete, who will not adapt to change. Who says, yeah, IT mere se nahi hota. I cannot attend a meeting. I cannot handle this, that. Sorry, you know, there will be no space for those people in time to come. I mean, maybe I may be very blunt, right? Thanks.
I think this is a very important point that you have brought up, that people who will not be ready, they will become obsolete, and it is 100% survival of the fittest in this kind of a scenario.
Absolutely.
No other way. My next question goes to Mr. Pramod Kumar Mishra. Mr. Mishra, tell us, what do these kind of people do? I mean, what Mr. Sharma is talking about is probably the 20%, There's 80% people who are not being able to cope up, people who are in the shop, people who are not ready, do not have the right kind of skills. They are facing extreme criticism, people who are not being able to show up or not being able to generate that kind of impetus to meet this kind of a horrific, sudden change in the entire system. What do these people do? I mean, when the bosses come and criticize you and tell you that no, this what you're doing is not the right way of doing and you need to change your ways of doing, what do these people do? How do they buck themselves up, and what should they do in order to be at the limelight or come up from where they are?
Deepshika ji, there is a famous song which I'm remembering. आप हिंदी में था, आप सबको मालूम होगा, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातें. So criticism is a part of our life. I'll tell you about the criticism and all these things, but before this, you raised a very valid question. This is for all students. It's very, very, very important, which I keep on saying in the sessions, all my sessions, because I keep on giving sessions to the various, the institutions. The critical skills which you talked about it. And recently I said in one of the webinar in another university that the 4 critical skill which I personally feel, which my fellow panelists will also agree with me. The one is that we look forward is a learnability. The student must have urge to learn, fire in the belly, सीखने की प्रबल इच्छा. That's very, very important. Means being a HR person with 30 years experience, the first thing I see is that whether this candidate or even the experienced person, later entry hiring, when I do it, same, I look into it whether he has the urge to learn, because if that is not there, I think he is no of use. That's many of the the candidate when I see, they are very casual in this area. So well, do you know about this thing, that about thing? No, they don't. They don't have a habit of reading also. So when you don't read, then what will happen? You'll get this type of people in the market, in the companies also. Second thing, which skill is required, basically competency required, the adaptability is very, very important. We are a construction industry, so adaptability is very important, because many of the people have a lot of problems. They don't get adjusted at the project site. 3 to 4% we take people for the office, corporate office, or branch offices, but rest of the 98%, 97%, they will be at site. What Mr. Sharma said is about all this thing is very right, because we look forward people, whether he is a white collar or is a blue collar, he has to be that basically skill must he have, or she have, even girls also, that adaptable. And third thing which is we require is a basics of computer skill, especially the white collars up. When we talk about this computer skill, what Mr. Rashid said is, I do agree, that is for the engineers level, that is those in planning and billing in this area, like MS Project and Primavera. Though the planning is, sir, with due respect, even today also the construction doing in Excel. So MS Excel is very important. I want a very, 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 very important MS Excel. If you ask anyone, do you know Excel? They say yes, but the moment you talk about, tell them, okay, do it, they don't know VLOOKUP, pivot table, and all these things, formulas. So I believe, because through that only, an analytical part will come up. Now that skill will emerge once you know this. And I basically, when I do recruitment, I take the trade test for these people. You tell we know all these things. The CV, the curriculum vitae, if you see, is a full of nakal mein bhi akal chahiye. That is a problem. They see lot of these are the guys, they do everything. Students, unko sab kuch pata hai, but moment you ask, sir, they forget it. So they don't remember. Oh, sir, that I studied in that semester. Then they become mum. So why you are writing all these things? So when you talk about the computer skill, like matlab, candy, whatever, all these things, blah blah blah, all these things, I go through. Simple, I say, dear, do you know MS Excel basic? even basic, they fall down. So, to be very frank, these are the last skill, positive attitude. Positive attitude, and this is 100%. All of us know when we A is 1 and Z is what. So all of us do. So positive attitude, positive attitude, positive attitude. So these 4 or 5 area. Let me tell you, just I thought better, tell to the student, get ready even whenever you appear for interviews, and this is what the industry look for. Now your answer for criticism. See, criticism is good. I tell is very, very good, because and it has come from where? It comes from the feedback. Basically, when you talk about the feedback, we have a 3 kind of feedback. Let the student understand. One is the positive feedback, and is a negative feedback, and the third is a constructive feedback. Now where you get the constructive feedback, both positive and negative. We don't actually, हमारे अपने कानों को ना विरोध सुनने का अभ्यास नहीं है, दीपशिका जी. That is the problem. We don't wanted to hear the bad things. We only wanted to hear the good things, good and good and good. That's all. So we should learn, to, if someone is saying that this is the area you have to improve, rather now people, they don't say weaknesses, they say the area of improvement. So then that is a problem. Nobody wanted to listen. And nobody wanted to, tell about those things also. But if the manager like us, when we tell to the people, our team member, this is the area where you have the weakness, this is what you are not doing it, this is what you have the problem, then they take otherwise. Then they take otherwise in that. But let me tell you, this I have personally come across, from the last few years. But I tell my colleagues, they are my colleague actually, team member, in a different way. Rather, I take a feedback session and call them when we have one, across the basic table, and we tell them, start with the positive thing, and slowly tell about this boss, you have to improve in this area. I think this is where the hiring manager, especially the manager part, should, think about it. Instead of telling directly, and saying to the people, to their team member, criticizing directly, it is better to start with a good point, good note, and tell them, this is the area you have to improve. And finally, they should leave with a winning note, so that the person should not able to mind it. Actually, that's very important. So the
criticism, I think positivity and taking things in the correct stride is something that we have to inculcate.
Yes, this is very important. And criticism is not bad actually. Criticism good, but the people, there are, one is intentional and unintentional. That's what you have to look into it. This will be part of the life. This will keep on coming. But we individual. I tell to the students also. Recently, online induction we had it a few days back. And I told to the student, you are all going to the site. The lot of things, being a fresher, you will be project manager or deputy project manager, or your manager, reporting manager will tell you a lot of things in you. They start one, blah, blah, blah. A lot of you have deficiencies. But you listen to them. Be a good listener. Listening is a skill again. And it needs a self-control, attentiveness. And listen to them and then work upon it. Then that is why I use the word adaptable. That's where the positive attitude. And then you'll find after a few months, whatever the manager was saying, he was right. But yes, there are people, those who have tendency to criticize only. So वही है कि हाथी जब चलता है तो बगल में कुत्ते भौंकते रहते हैं. That's okay.
And you can't do anything about them.
You can't do anything. That's up to you.
Okay, I have. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mishra. I have opened the chat box for the students to ask a few questions if they can. The time is very short. But the first question is from Shuchishmita. I would like any of the panelists to address the question. Shuchishmita, are you there? I think, yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Shuchishmita, go ahead.
Good morning all.
Yeah.
Good morning,
in this pandemic situation, for civil engineers, lots of jobs are there, lots of vacancies also there. So in some cases, demotivation occurs. How to manage this demotivation, and also what we have to choose our department works or software engineering departments?
No, but you also had a question about whether a civil engineering girl student has a scope of
Yes,
placement.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. This is one of the question, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask any of the panelists to please address the question.
Yeah. Can I take Deepshika, Narendra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, Mr. Rao.
Normally, yes, this is a kind of a subjectivity. Girl students may not work at the projects in the infrastructure industry. So, yes, girl students are also there at the projects, but mostly they can choose the kind of a role of a planning, QS, design engineering, structural engineering. These kind of an areas, if they can come, I think they can perform better. But initially, having a grassroots level exposure at the projects, they should gain a couple of years. Maybe when they are students, they can do the internships and projects. So, but especially planning as well as design, these kind of areas, if they can focus, having gained the insights from the projects, then slowly they can come back to the regional offices of the office, operating from a kind of a environment of a regional office or a head office. Then they can discharge the duties. Typically, they need not all through slog at the project level where projects are in a kind of a difficult environment, terrains geographically. So not to differentiate because of male and female, but then definitely considering the challenges at the sites where nothing would be available. Mostly people should go there and establish from just a small guest house or an office where nothing is there. In such kind of scenario, it would be in an Indian traditional kind of a scenario. Girls might face difficulty, but there are girls who want to take these challenges as well. But mostly they can focus on the design engineering, planning skills. Such kind of things would help them.
Okay. I think that answers the question. There's another question from Vaibhav. Mr. Mandis, if you would address the question. Vaibhav, you're there? So the question is why most students from core branch are shifting to software industry, whether it is after graduation or 3-4 years in the core sector. That is, I think, a recent trend that is happening, and moving from the core to the software industry is something that taking away a lot of talent from the core. So what is your opinion, sir? Hello? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Anybody can take the question for that matter. Anybody.
Shall I take?
Moving away. Yes, please.
See, most of the students are driven or inspired by the compensation and the place of location work, especially. Core sectors, yes, they have to go to the factory and then the manufacturing unit or the infrastructure project. Whereas software companies, there's a lot of demand. The shift from the manufacturing to the software industry when it took place, there is a sudden demand surge, and to meet their kind of requirement, they are not bothered whether they are from the IT or computer science. They're even taking civil engineering as well as mechanical engineering students. So mostly students are driven by the culture, especially the 5 days a week, and also the place of work, AC environment, where the kind of corporate culture. In projects, you may not find these kind of things. I feel these are the critical driving factors for the students for choosing to the software.
Also about the core industries, there's this one question that there are hubs of the industries which are at spas, and so there's a question from Rajesh Mohanty, where he asked that in future we can't expect something. Yeah, please add. Hello.
Sorry, yeah, Colin here. Hi.
Yeah.
Hey, so can I just add to what Mr. Narayan said? I think a very important aspect that he mentioned about, pertaining to the core sector, and I think
Mr. Mandis, you there? Hello. I think the internet is fluctuating.
But I just want to mention one smooth point is that the maximum learning really comes from projects. The maximum learning comes from manufacturing, and I think that at the stage of the career that you guys are in, it is the right stage to actually jump into a manufacturing or a project-based environment and understand the complexity that this particular environment really has to offer. And then having probably spent some good enough time, then probably look at different other opportunities. But I think the grounding that the manufacturing sector, the project-based sector, the civil industry sector that it has to offer. And given the fact, that the government today is making a huge opportunity, giving opportunities for foreign investors to come to India to boost the manufacturing facility, the first biggest boost is going to be for the infrastructure sector. So I think this is a sector that's going to pick up and do exceedingly well.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wants to add up to that? There is another interesting question. Yes, please.
Deepshika, I just wanted to, these students are there, I wanted to give them just a statistics. Now, what is the, basically the government has thought over for the investment in the infrastructure sector. See, around 25 lakh crore of job. Now the government is going to pump in the, the energy sector, and approximately 20 lakh crore in the road sector. So this is recently I've got the statistics, basically the national infrastructure which is in pipeline. Whereas the 14 lakh crore are in the railway sector, and 3.2 lakh crore in digitization. Basically, digital infrastructure will be 3.2 lakh crore, and 2.5 lakh crore will be in the ports and airports. So, students, you must now be aware the government is pumping a lot of the money in the infrastructure sector. Since the pandemic came in March, that is why some of the planning have got some disturbed. Otherwise, with I have came to know, and some of the the policy makers which I interacted with them, April 2021 onwards, you'll find a great boom in this area, because already the government has incurred a lot of loss in this area, and it's not only India but in the whole world. Globally, you can see the recession is there. But April 2021, definitely you will find a great boom in this infrastructure sector. I won't see right now the two sectors are there. One is a transport sector, basically road and highways. A lot of projects are coming. Second, you have a railways, that is in the basically OHT and SNT, and the second is metro railways, elevated part. And third one now, the starting will be in the airports area. But other areas are yet to be started, which the port and harbors are not yet be started. Telecom is yet to come. Then you have a this another industrial project is yet to come. Although this the government has made their blueprint, but that blueprint will be, I think, after the budget in the next year, this is going to, you will see a lot of changes. So this is just a piece of information I thought we'd share with you all.
Sure, sir. There is another question. It is from Soumya Ranjan Sahu, and I want any of the panelists to please take this up. Being an electrical electronics engineering student, what should be the minimum skills that we have to learn which will help us in the future? Electrical electronics students, I think similar question has come from a mechanical student also.
I think, already our panel, if he were a good listener, then every panelist, panel member have said, the skills. They have talked about the skills, many skills they have said it about it. Let it be basically, and I said it just now, the 4 or 5 critical skills that, Rashid Saab has said it, Mr. Mandes and Mr. Sharma has said it, for the, you have to have the first thing is that. But I feel, again, I'll repeat it, the learnability is one skill is very, very important. Again, I'll say the urge to learn. That's very, very important, being a fresher.
No, I think, sir, what they're asking is very specific to the kind of discipline they are into. So electronics,
Electronic
and then
okay.
yeah.
I see. I think Mr. Mendes or Mr. Rao can able to tell more on that. But there are certain skills which is common for all.
Yeah. So anybody else can take them. Maybe Mr. Mendes, maybe Mr. Rao.
Deepshika, yeah, irrespective of the specializations, what there, yes, specialization is important. The threshold level of knowledge in their own specialization is needed. Apart from that, when the corporates come to the colleges for picking up, they will see the threshold level of knowledge in their relevant area. Apart from that, if we look at the World Economic Forum's the report, Future of Jobs report, mostly talks about the softer skills. The top 10 skills globally, when they have surveyed for Future of Jobs report, the topmost skill needed is the complex problem solving. Then the critical thinking. Third one is creativity. Then managing people. Then coordinating with others. Emotional intelligence. Judgment and decision making. Service orientation. Negotiation and cognitive flexibility. If you look at all these things, these are the soft skills. Maybe they should utilize the kind of internships and the project period what they do, the block placement of the projects. They should try to develop these skills while gaining their theoretical knowledge in their own respective areas. Then any company from any domain can come and take that, irrespective of the kind of their specialization what they are doing.
True.
These are the skills, softer skills are very important. Every organization to look at. Once they get into the organization, if you look at our performance management system, how performance is being measured, matured organizations, the actual performance on the tasks given could be 50% or 70%. The rest of the weightage will go to the behavioral aspects. The more they are going into the leaders, the behavioral aspects will be playing a more important role than their functional roles. So functional level, their knowledge, the basic fundamental knowledge should be there, but they should continuous learners, they should be. They should continuously upgrade what is the latest things happening in their domain. So then definitely they will be picked by any of the organizations.
I think there is this concern again and again. There are a particular few students who've been asking that if the experienced people are not getting their jobs, what are the chances of the freshers
Shika, if I
take up the market? Yes, Mr. Mendes.
if I can
Yes, please.
take a shot at this.
Your internet
And
is
just
little
add
short.
on to what Mr. Rao.
Yes, please.
There is some audio, I think, and not able to hear.
Mr. Mendes?
There is some audio problem.
I think the internet connectivity is slow for you.
Sorry, is that for me?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, so I was just adding to what Mr. Rao mentioned. I think both the infrastructure
Yes.
as well as the...
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We can.
I just want to quickly say a very quick short one. Infrastructure, and I think the point is about technical skills, and electrical and electronic skills are of immense importance. Yeah.
I think we are losing Mr. Mendes again and again.
Maybe you can come back on.
Okay. I'll come back.
Yes. Okay, I think we are really falling short of time. We'll probably take one or two more questions. And there is this one question from Shudipta Sundar Sahu, that right now companies are looking for experienced people, and being freshers, what are the chances that we get an opportunity above the others?
I'll take that.
Yes, Mr.
I'll take that. Yeah, don't worry, freshers have their place, right? We don't want all experienced people. Freshers have their own advantage. Number one, they bring in new energy. Two, they come blank. If you take experienced people, they may come with some baggages, And unlearning is more difficult than learning.
Exactly.
So many companies will like to take fresh students and train them, groom them as per our requirement, and so that they gel with us, they get the company culture, company tradition, everything without any baggage. So there will be always companies will be taking fresh students. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And electronic students ask what they should know. They should stick to basics. Plus all those qualities everybody has been talking about, soft skills. Those are the things. Stick to your basic, improve your soft skills, be a team player, take leadership, be innovative, or don't worry about making mistakes, make enough mistakes. So those are the people will grab. Don't worry. Don't worry, they will grab people, right?
Yeah. I think that is a wonderful piece of advice. People who are at the beginning of their career, their place is there in the organizations. An experienced person like me will not be able to get a job which is available to a fresher, and a fresher's job will not be available to me. So don't worry, your place is there, secured right there. Mr. Mandis, you wanted to add something to this. You are...
Ditiksha, can I move on?
Yes, Mr. Rashid. Yes, Mr. Rashid, please.
I have to rush for another meeting which is scheduled at 12:30.
Okay.
If all permit me, I will go. And before going that, I need to conclude with one simple point to all my future leaders of India.
Sure.
If you want to success in your career, first and foremost thing, you have to feel the responsibility of your position. Because when I asked in the interview for the freshers, many people fail to answer my simple question is, what is the difference between responsibilities and duties? Many people have failed to answer my question. I humbly request all the younger generation to understand the responsibility of your position. Once you understand the responsibility meaning, I'll give you one simple example, that a responsibility of a father towards his kids. A father, nobody tells about give the best to your kids. He takes care of everything. Nobody tells a father that, hey, you have to take care of your kids' education. If anybody tells like that, no. So similarly, when you take over a position, whatever position, as a trainee, as a manager, as a leader, whatever, whenever you want to have a success in your career, first and foremost thing, to understand the definition of responsibility given to you. Responsibility, your responsibility, you have to understand and discharge. Then only you witness your success in your position. With a small suggestion, to understand the responsibility of position whenever you enter into a corporate world. See the wonderful, stunning transformation in your professional life. That is what my final conclusion towards in this section. Please give me
Sure, Mr. Rashid.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
And Rao Garu, Mishra ji.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Goodbye, sir. It was nice having you with us in the session. So I think we are coming to an end of it, and one last word from all the panelists, and we will start off with Mr. Mandis. You have been going on and off because of the internet issues. So one point that you started off, which was really touching to the, I think, current situation, is how do you make yourselves visible to the industry? What are the extra things that you want to do? And we will maybe have a concluding comments on that.
Yeah, I think I'll be very quick because there was a bit of problem with my network earlier. My apologies.
Yes.
But I think the quick two messages that I want to give to the students is look beyond what is visible. Yeah, I think the pandemic has taught us this, how to look beyond the visible. So I think that's one important message. And the second one is, make passion your superpower. Yeah, so because I think that's very, very critical in today's time. Be more passionate and deliver what needs to be delivered, and I'm sure you will all do well.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, what are your concluding comments and one last suggestion to the students?
Yeah, as this pandemic has given a lot of lessons to everyone, I think being students, you focus on what you are doing. Whatever opportunity comes, passionately perform and take these kind of internships projects seriously. Maybe at student point of a time, you may not take it seriously. You will be jovially doing the things. as somebody said, inexperienced. Your experience is coming from the student itself, from the student days, in terms of internships and projects. There, if you gain a lot of insights, grabbing that opportunity of internship or a project, effectively contribute to the organization, definitely you made a mark. Then the organizations would definitely pick up. So you should be able to continuously upgrade your skills and knowledge in your own domain area. So success, as famously said, success doesn't mean the absence of failures. It means attaining the ultimate objectives, which means winning the war, not every single battle. So if you want to be a winner in
Wonderful.
life, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. So
Differently.
grab the opportunities, whatever comes in your way, and then perform. Definitely you will be sought after by the organizations.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. I think this internships point is very important. And before I conclude, I will give them a few tips of internships that we have been also doing. Last 1 year, during this pandemic, we had a lot of live projects done in our own company. There were around 40 interns that we had taken doing various small projects, SIPs with us. So you can get in touch if you want to do SIPs and small projects with me and with all the other panelists if you're that interested. And even if you're not getting a job, doing these small projects, doing these internships give you a lot of insights into the industry. I'll come to Mr. Pramod Mishra, and Mr. Mishra, please for your concluding comments, sir.
Only 3 words, being a chairperson, which I keep on saying to every student, fresher, is, apply 3 things, do your knowledge, skill, and attitude. That's all. Develop your knowledge and subject knowledge, especially. And the second thing was Mr. Narayan Rao said, internship, the practical training, be serious on that. That is one. Second thing is develop your skill. The mostly when the corporate go to the institute, you find the communication part is a skill. This is what we lack. We find lacking, especially the speaking skill and the presentation skill. So that is what this is the area you have to work upon it. And third is the attitude. Always carry positive attitude. What the may. That's very, very important in your life. So these 3 words, is the mantra of your success, which I believe, which I personally believe, and I apply also, and keep on telling to every student. Every my team are also in the organization. So for you guys, knowledge, skill, and attitude. Remember these 2 things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very relevant points, knowledge, skill, and attitude, 3 things that you cannot go wrong with, and you need to master them. For your concluding comments, I think we'll come to Mr. Trideep.
Yeah, I can see, students are very worried about their future, pure pandemic. I'll just tell them one thing, you must have seen birds. Those birds sit on the trees, right? Branches of trees. And sometimes those trees are very weak, branches are very weak, that may break and fall down at any moment. But they are never worried, You know why? Because they have their wings. Even the tree breaks down, they can fly. So believe in your wings. Don't worry what happens. And those wings are your self-belief, your knowledge, right? Believe in yourself. Have faith, believe in yourself, develop yourself. Don't worry about what is happening, There is always silver lining. There is always good thing to come. Look at the good. Don't look at the bad, right? So that is why, you see what you want to see. Look the positive sides. You will find positive side. You will remain positive, and you will definitely. And road to success is always under construction, and you will have to construct yourself, right? And you are capable of doing that. Don't worry, right? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Rao, concluding comments, sir.
Yeah, as I said, the skills, knowledge, and attitude, these 3 things, even Mishraji resonated the same things.
Absolutely.
I think they need to focus on, and then whatever the opportunities comes as an internship and project, focus on that, learn. That itself is the experience for them. They can showcase the kind of work they do during that point of a time. They can showcase to the organizations during the interviews. That will add a great value to them at that point of phase of life. I wish them all the best.
Yeah, all the best to all the students. I think you're up for a challenge. And I think this is a trend that every year universities the moment the placement season starts, there is some kind of an issue, there's something going wrong. 2008, 2018, 2012 in between, and there have been years which have been bad, there have been years which have been worse. It's a part and parcel of placements, and everything will be all right if you are resilient, if you are determined that things will work on for you. I think that is what we all need to work on. And it is a great session that we had today. And thank you for the university to arrange this, Mr. Rao and Mr. Gowda and everybody. It is over to the university to kind of wrap it up.
Thank you, madam. This is the last part of the session. And this is time for vote of thanks. Good afternoon to all of you.
Jyothi,
Nice.
can I speak something? Can I speak something?
Please.
Yes, please, Mr. Rao.
Good afternoon, all. Really, it's a wonderful, mind-blowing session, and we all have learned a lot of things from your motivational speech, which will definitely keep the students' morale very high. So, thank you very much for your valuable tips and created hope, confidence, and assurance in the minds of the young technocrats to come over from all arduous journeys, including pandemic COVID-19. So on behalf of JIT University, I express my heartfelt gratitude to all Galaxy of industry leaders who spared their valuable time and busy schedule to attend this virtual meet and share their experience and encouraged and motivated our students to perform well in their studies. A special thanks to Dr. Sarvesh Misra, who has accepted my request and made this session a great success. I request all the members to please support us in placing our students in your esteemed organizations, starting from internships to final placements. We assure you that we will groom our students at par with the requirements of yours. Thank you all, and thank you for your time. Thank you, ma'am, also.
Thank you.
Jyoti, over to Jyoti.
Thank you, madam. It's a really wonderful learning session. Thank you very much to Colin sir, Pramod sir, Rashid sir, Naren sir, Tedip sir.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
For taking out our valuable time and did a nice deliverance and enlightened upon importance of digital learning, improving soft skills. Well said about the value, ethics, qualities of creative leadership and communication skill required to achieve one's long-term goals. Beautifully cited how to blend technology, skills and attitude to become a successful employee, as well as help improving the productivity. And the important one should be confident and a team player to win all the adverse situations. Nicely elaborated about the latest job skills, reskilling and other competencies to be developed to get into good companies. We will encourage our students to go for more internship and projects as suggested. Hope all of us will drive home with today's insightful thoughts. Thanks to the great audience, students, deans, head of the departments, faculty members and registrars, sir. Thanks to Sanjay and TNP colleagues for the lovely coordination. Thanks to Dr. Sarvesh Misra, sir, for extending his hand to conduct such a nice event. Again, thanks to all the panelists for making a complex stuff sound easier to understand. Looking forward for more or similar ones. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thanks to the entire university.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Thank you,
everybody.
Dipya,
One last bit that I would like to tell to the students that there are a lot of things, even if you are not getting your jobs in the right time, right place. You can write articles, you can write for journals, you can have videos, you can have, make yourselves visible to the world. Tell them that you are there, and I'm sure that you will get the next best opportunity that comes by.
Wow. Thank you, Dipya, ma'am. Thank you, Colin sir. Thank you, Narayan sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All the best. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dipshika. Beautifully anchored. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Mandesh, Sharma ji, Mishra ji, and all the panel members.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And the registrar of the university. And
Thank you,
pleasure meeting you. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thanks, Sanjay. Take care.
Sarve sir, I will talk to you later on over phone.
Sarve sir, thank you, sir.